Hi, my name's Charlotte.
Hello there, I'm Helen.
And I'm Tam.
And we're actors playing the parts of forestry experts that were interviewed to create this verbatim play.
A verbatim play uses the words of real people and it's often performed by actors and it's used to explore difficult ideas or questions.
In this play, we're exploring the difficult question of how forests and the people who work with forests are adapting to climate change.
Every word in the play comes from interviews that were conducted with real forestry people.
Some of the words are spoken by us.
And some of them are spoken by our musician, Simone, who you'll also see playing the cello throughout the play.
And some of them are by other actors who appear in recorded audio and video.
The play's made up of 5 scenes in total, and this scene is called Community Foresters, Rural and Urban.
Community forestry is a kind of forestry where local people are really involved in the decisions that are made about a forest. They might also take part in planting or caring for the forest.
The part I play in this scene is a rural community forester. The forest he manages in the north of Scotland is actually owned by the people in that community. The scene shares his answers to questions he was asked in his interview, and it also shares some of the questions that he wanted answered.
In contrast to Tam, the person I play in this scene is a community forester who works in an urban setting, so really focusing on the challenges of planting, growing, caring for trees in cities.
Yeah, and the person I play works in both urban and rural areas.
I really related to the person that I was playing in this scene because he's about the same age as me and he was on a YTS youth training scheme when he was young, and I did one of those too.
Yeah, I connected with the person I was playing too. She believes that small actions can make a real difference, and that's something that I believe too.
I found that the person I was playing was really different from me. For one thing, he was quite a bit older than me, and that was maybe a bit difficult at the beginning, but I actually really enjoyed the challenge of trying to play him.
This scene starts with recorded voices. We hear the voices, we don't see who it is that's speaking the words. These are voices of other actors who are playing some of the other forest specialists that were interviewed for the play.
Trees need us. If we want to put trees in areas where traditionally they haven't grown, then we need to help them.
It's us that are the biggest threat. But we're also the only thing that can make the solution.
We do have a role in that, to look after them.
It's kind of a stewardship sort of a relationship.
That word guardian isn't quite right, but it's something like that.
An ambassador, making sure that their best interests are preserved.
An influencer, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, certainly humans influence what trees are where and how they're grown.
I'm just a human who really likes trees. I care about them very much.
I've always loved trees.
I hug them if they're big.
They become part of our lives in a way that almost nothing else does. There's a relationship.
My relationship with the trees? Well, I like to think that the trees are what sustain and support me. And hopefully I'm doing that in return. Hopefully I'm doing right by the trees from their perspective, and hopefully they're not grumbling that I'm exploiting them by building my wooden house and putting wood in my log fire and selling the wood to make the money to buy the beer. My job is a forester in a community-owned forest, Scotland. I manage the community-owned land. We have a conifer plantation and some old native woodland, plus new woodland that a lot has been created in the last 10 years. We are planting 1 or 2 schemes a year, and that is another 100,000, 150,000 trees, something like that. And there is an incredible amount of natural regeneration of trees on the hillside, now that we've put the fence up and got the deer down. How did I get into this? Well, that was sacking the education system. I applied for a YTS scheme, you know, the youth training scheme, to get into forestry school, and oh, that was a great scheme for me. That really worked. And then they offered me a job, and I just learned pretty much everything on the job. What questions do I have? Oh, right, questions. Well, if we are planting native woodland and getting a native woodland planting grant, we have to provide seed certificates that show that the tree stock we are planting come from particular seed zones. But are these seed zones correct in terms of the change in climate? And should we actually be planting some non-native species, things that are currently deemed non-native, in a native mix? And are we smart enough to know how that will affect that scheme? And what does native mean, anyway? What is native now wouldn't have been native many years ago, and what's native now won't be native in the future. So why have we got this rigid definition of what's native and what's not native? I mean, I think that nativeness will be less and less of a thing. It's not about nativeness, it's about what can fit into an ecosystem. But I don't think that we have enough knowledge yet to know what can fit into that system and what won't. So I don't know the answer to that. On a personal level, right? Well, I feel that, I can't do enough. I just can't go fast enough. And there is so much to achieve, more than I can manage. In 10 years' time, I would hope that the human community goes through a little evolutionary, spike. In 50 years, well, I would hope that in 50 years there's a well-established woodland culture, forest culture, habitat culture, whereby the significant part of the community is sustained by the habitat. And that might be eating the habitat or being paid to provide services, whatever it is. Surely within 50 years that model will be well established. A more circular economy based on the local habitat. And I know that it is easier to see that circularity, if there is such a word, happening in a place like this, rather than, say, in the city. And I think that we have a responsibility to demonstrate these processes, and then somebody else has got the difficult job of working out how to translate that into urban environments where most of the people live.
The underlying problem is inequality and environmental injustice, vulnerability to climate change, deprivation. I work for a tree planting initiative in a large region of Scotland. We plant trees in the urban and in the rural areas. In the urban areas, we're planting trees in streets, in parks, in gardens, in any available spaces, really, in the places where people live.
I work for a community organisation in a large urban area in England. We do a lot of tree planting, lots of community engagement with community groups, schools, businesses, things like that. You're not just doing it for the climate or for the wildlife, it's very much a people thing as well. Some places just have nothing in terms of green space, or they've just got a tiny patch of grass, and even putting one tree in there can make such a big difference.
20% is considered the minimum level of tree canopy we're looking for in our cities for the kind of future that we're facing. We want to help communities be more resilient to the changes that we're all facing.
You know, you want to be able to help everyone, but unfortunately the funding just can't stretch to everywhere. So you have to think, is this school more worthy than this school? And you know, that's definitely for me the most difficult decision, because you'd like to be able to give one to everyone basically. So yeah, for me that's definitely the most difficult decision, having to say to someone, look, unfortunately we cannot help you out at this time. Yeah.
We need more boots on the ground. We need people working to come forward and identify opportunities for tree planting.
There's so much more that we could do if we had more capacity. Capacity means people. And, well, it's like with any species that if you want to increase the abundance of a species, then you have to develop the habitat. And in our case, that means housing and accommodation. I mean, the human system, it's so extractive and exploitative. I mean, it's a linear process where you dig something out the ground, you consume it, and then you throw it away. And it's obvious. We can't go on like that.
We need political will and leadership and resources to back up that political will. Oh, and we need land. And that can only be achieved by talking to landowners, or I suppose acquiring land, and that would take a lot of money.
Yeah, funding and finding the land to actually get the trees in the ground, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. But also finding that link between your city centre, your suburbs, your rural areas. You've got to think about how those demographics are intertwined.
How would I say things in 10 years? We will see more trees planted in the city areas, but whether it will be significantly more.
We do unfortunately get a lot of vandalism on our trees. Sometimes you'll finish a planting and the tree will be ripped up and you'll think, right, I'll try that again. And you know, it's a cycle. Some people would love to see the tree outside their front door being cut down because there's bird poo on their car, or there's sap on their car, or they're not getting enough light in their living room.
In 50 years, our coastlines will be changing dramatically. We will see people having to retreat, and we're not just talking retreating locally. And if you think about the impact Well, that's just horrific to think about. I also think that we'll see a significant shift in the agricultural landscape, with newly planted woodlands being more productive and contributing more to the circular economy.
Me trying to be as optimistic as I can. I think we'll see more spaces within built-up areas, even if they're just the same size as this room, that people feel they own a little bit more, or whether they've helped to plant a tree there or they've helped with a patch of flower beds, just people enjoying it more, really. In 100 years, I'd like to think that some of the oak trees that we've planted will still be there, and they'll have a huge amount of acorns that'll be able to be spread across the north even further by squirrels or birds or whatever. That from that little patch of trees, the acorns could be spread much, much further. Yeah. That'd be nice to think of.